Thanks for taking some time to chat with me. I was at the show last night. I'm Priscilla Facey. I'm a real estate developer. I've got 150 units under construction / development in the...
How did you make that happen? That's amazing.
Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
No, and the show was obviously incredible. And I was in the crowd. I noticed your son was in the crowd. And I know you've talked a lot about your son, 12 years old. And just a question for you. I mean, kids growing up today, and I know 19 Keys talks about it, you know, celebrities and influencers are often having more impact on kids than sometimes their parents. And so how do you guys, how do you manage that? How do you manage making sure that you guys are balancing impact with kids having access to the internet and just everything that's going on in the way kids are raised today?
Just having, you want to go first?
No, go ahead, man.
Just having honest conversations with them. I think we are all really big on having them in the business, letting them see these things. Like, so even for me, I'm honored, like when I go pick my son up from school and their friends like, oh, that's your dad, he's on YouTube. Because to them, that's TV. But this changed the game for me. When Mr. B started doing his videos and he's giving away Lamborghinis and all this, and I'm like, how do I compete with this? I went to the bank, got out $5,000. Let him count it. And he was like, oh my God, if I invest in the market, I can make this kind of money. And I'm like, you have to learn to invest for yourself, build for you. I think a lot of times we want to teach our kids how to, but don't show them what happens if you actually apply. And that's been the biggest thing for me, is like to actually show him what are the rewards if you stay dedicated.
Yeah, I think the transparency is key. So like my son and my daughter were there. And so they see everything. They understand. They watch daddy go from working 9 to 3 to now being an entrepreneur where I get to have to travel a little bit more. I'm not there as much. Being transparent, having the communication with them, letting them understand why this is happening, and then seeing the results of it. Oh, you're going to Jamaica? Yeah, this is why daddy's doing this, right? So when they come to Toronto, it's like, oh, now I get to see it come to life. This is why daddy's doing it. But even in our just family situation, letting them understand the value of money and how it works and you know, how you can use it. I know like one day this kid, she told my daughter, like, you broke, you don't even got lunch money? And she texted me, she said, Daddy, can you send me my bank account? I was like, why? She was like, this kid's trying to say I'm broke. And I sent her a picture of her account. And it was a good amount. And she was like, you see, I got savings for the future. What you got? And he was like, who's your daddy?
That's a hell of a clap back.
Yeah, so just being transparent with them and letting them understand the position that they're in and how we want to make sure that they're good in the future.
And shout out to you for being a good dad and sending the screenshot.
Yeah, I'm gonna let her clap back. I don't want nobody clapping on my daughter. We're gonna clap back.
And so even with the concept of school, and this is something that, you know, myself and the external team, like we talk a lot about the impact of school and how it kind of raises you to work a job. And a lot of people have moved towards homeschooling, especially now with pandemic, but just understanding how much school impacts mindset and structure. And so have you guys ever considered some alternative form of education? Do your kids go to public school?
Yeah, I feel like for me, I'm not like a traditional parent. I'm not a traditional person, really.
Yeah.
So I never really liked school that much, but
thank you.
I didn't really have like the dream of like, I'm gonna go to school, get a degree, and then get a job. I was just in school, play sports. I just knew that it was a good thing to do, but I never was under the impression that I'm gonna rely on this to save me. And that's kind of like how I would raise my son as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course, go to school. It's beneficial from a social standpoint. It's beneficial to learn. It's not harmful to become a good student. But like in my brain, like if you want to do something with your life, like we already have a company. So if you need a job, then you can work for me. Or if you want to become an entrepreneur, then I can help you become an entrepreneur. So I feel like you fall into a trap when you are putting your future in other people's hands. And you're relying on other people to provide for you or to save you or a safety net. When you go into it automatically expecting that there is no safety net, then you don't have any level of disappointment when it doesn't happen. You're not even looking for it to happen. So like me, I never even looked for a job. I never had a job. So for him, I think, you know, that's how I'm raising him. Whether he's on homeschool or not, it really doesn't matter. Like, this is what like your opportunities are. Like, this is what you could do whatever you want to do. Whether you go to public school, private school, whatever, doesn't really matter. like the school is cool, but the world is bigger than just a classroom.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at school. I really don't think that school is that important. That's not like a view that most people share. But I ain't really care about school. I feel like if you can read, have basic level of English skills. Now ChatGPT, you don't even have to have English skills, right? If you can use a calculator, that's it. Yeah. Now you got to figure it out on your own. You know what I mean? So I really don't put too much emphasis on school too much.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think we're also for the public, with EY University, Red Panda Academy, that's another way. So I think it's a hybrid approach. Even for me, like, but going back to the connections, like I wouldn't have learned how to invest in the market if it wasn't something that I didn't meet in college.
Yeah.
So it's really key. I think it's a hybrid approach that we have to take, but I think we're doing a good job at giving the supplemental parts that we need of learning how to learn, what to actually learn, and the things that will have the biggest impact on us and our community.
Yeah, I'm the guy that liked going to school because my friends were there from a social standpoint.
Right.
I graduated from school and went back to school to teach.
Yeah.
So I did that for 13 years. So like I understand the cynicism that comes with the education, but I've learned that education doesn't stop in the classroom.
Yeah.
Like there's a life experience that teaches you as well. And so we have the luxury of having our children around.
Yeah.
And so you tell me a social studies lesson that's going to be better than taking our kids to Egypt to show them Cairo and the ancient pyramids.
Yeah,
there's no textbook that can give them that.
Yeah.
Before my kids came here, they had to give me 10 facts about Toronto and Canada.
Yeah.
Then they get to come to the country.
Got it.
Right. This is the best class trip of all time.
Yeah.
Right. So those life experiences that we are able to provide them, it means more than any classroom that they can sit in, because these things are actually practical and they can see it and touch it firsthand. A lot of the people, and I know from being in education, I mean, they're just theories. They've never done any of these things. Right? They're just reading a textbook and somebody's telling them how to teach it. They've never experienced half of these things that our kids, and kids now, I mean, with social media and the internet, they can figure these things out without the teacher.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond the four walls of a building.
And the thing that I've learned too, kids don't listen to what you tell them, they listen to what you do. So if I tell my son to do something because it'll be beneficial and he's seeing me doing it, it has a tremendous, and it also gives them a boost of confidence. Like, Rashad got one of the coolest kids to ever walk Earth. Like, he's unfazed by anything, right? It's just amazing. Even like my kid goes to an after school program, and they were like talking about the market, and they're like, "Oh, the market's down." And it's like, "No, my dad said the market will be up in like 12 months." Just
my dad.
Like what? Like what are you talking about? And they're like, "How does Xander know so much?" But I started him at such a young age.
Yeah.
So imagine if you start your kids at 4 or 5, or look how much further ahead we would be if we had all these lessons at 8, and then we got into our 30s and 40s. Oh my God, it would be incredible.
And that, I think, is a lot of the challenge even for me. I have 2 young children, and just communicating to them that your mindset is really what you give it. It should be limitless.
Yes.
And so that type of programming where I struggle is, if they're in school, what if the teacher had a bad day? What if this happened? And that these things, we see the adult result of that later on, where, they're in trauma therapy, this, that, and everything starts there. But I think in terms of, really being able to open up and teach entrepreneurship, that's so critical, because in school they tend to teach you to go in a lane and work a job.
That's by design. We've talked about it before, but John D. Rockefeller created the education system and bought the rights to it to have enough people to go work in factories.
We need them.
Entrepreneurship used to be like a supplement. It's mandatory now.
Yeah.
Seeing what inflation is, especially for us, because I've always said if inflation is 10% for mainstream America and here, it's really 30% in Black and brown households. So we have to.
U.S. Indian background?
Yes.
So like when in Jamaica, right? So when you were growing up, did you see entrepreneurs?
No.
It was just
and it was everybody had 5 jobs.
Exactly.
Right? My grandmother had 3 jobs. My grandfather had 4 jobs. My dad, it was go work, earn money, come home, spend it. And it was literally the cycle. And I remember being, 19, 20 and going in and getting some education on mutual funds just from the bank.
Yeah.
And my uncles were like, oh, wow. Like, imagine I started investing at 19, 20, 21. Like, where would I be now? And I'm actually still teaching. I'm teaching them now. So it's a awkward world when the child becomes the parent, right? Because I'm teaching him but I'm keep coming up on limited mindset. And it's like something that the older you get, it's so hard to shift.
Well, I think it's subtle education. So like they've done research where you actually learn more from environments that's not teaching you like directly.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, you go to school, right? And that's an environment that's actually teaching you something. But you're educated by being just here
in the environment.
So you learn certain things, just like you learn certain social etiquette without being educated on it, just by being observant.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, you nobody really ever teaches you like proper way to greet somebody. Sometimes they do, but for the most part, you just pick that up.
Yeah.
Like you pick up a lot of different things just by being in an environment. That's not a formal education, but it's an education. So it's the same thing as far as like a household, right? Like you don't necessarily have to tell somebody like, you know, your pathway is to get a job. They pick that up because that's what you did. That's what everybody else did. So they're seeing this. And now they're saying, okay, every single person I know works a 9 to 5. Every single person I know gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They have lunch at this hour. So this is normal. And this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to raise my kids. Now, what is the inverse? When they see everybody that's around them or the closest people that's around them, they wake up whenever they want. They never have a job. They run around the world. That becomes normalized to them. Like even with my son, he doesn't, I don't have to ingrain that in his brain. He's already observing that just by osmosis, by being around him.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Like it makes sense, right? Like my dad worked for 42 years, right? Well, I didn't know what he did, but I know he worked hard. I know he went to work, came back. My son's growing up. He's never seen his grandfather work. But he sees me. So like that is going to be his interpretation of what the work balance looks like, right? This is your family. Oh, you travel when you work. Oh, you educate. You help people. You do as much as you can to give back. That's going to be like how he figures out the world's going to be, or it should be, because that's what he's seen. He sees his uncles do that. He sees everybody around him do that. It's going to be the same for you. Like when you talk about that balance of having kids, they'll pick it up. They might not grasp it now because they're so young.
How old are they?
6 and 8.
Oh, that's amazing. That's perfect time.
And I think it's about breaking, like everything that we deem as normal has been given to us. So it's like the dairy industry knew that they wanted to make money, so they decided to draw up the food triangle and say that you need to drink milk and have eggs for breakfast. But that's not a nutritional meal. Right? But it's like now that's just considered normal. Or like a lunch break has to be at 12 o'clock. Or you have to eat at a certain time, or you have to go, like, there's really no rules in life, but the rules have been given to us. So the people that's really successful are the people that actually break all the rules. If you think about it. The people that are struggling are the people that follow rules. Like the people that like wake up at 5 o'clock, they work hard every day. They don't take a vacation. They never get anywhere. You got Elon Musk, who's on Twitter going crazy every single day, and he's the richest person in the world. Like the people that's really breaking rules, that realize that there is no rules. Like they've actually been able to separate themselves from the matrix. Now,
average.
That is the people that's actually the ruling class of society. And the people that's actually following the rules, it's not working. So that goes back to the education as well. Like I said, like I never really brought into the education system because I realized that it was a dead end trap to nowhere. And it's not teaching you anything that's actually going to be beneficial. So for me, how I look at it is like what you learn outside of the classroom is going to be more beneficial than what you learn in the classroom. Some things you learn in the classroom are beneficial, but even that, there's time limits on it. You only learn till you're 18 or 20 something years old. Like you might live till you're 80 years old. So what happens after that? You don't learn anymore?
And context is important. Like we're not saying like, yo, you shouldn't go. Like I went to school, he went to school, we graduated. We did these things. We're speaking from experience. Like we did that, so hopefully people can learn from it from a standpoint of how you should be learning, but also from a financial standpoint. Like college and universities in the States it's a financial hardship.
And I mean, I'm seeing more and more like the era we're in now, there's people making money off of with actually no education, dropouts, everything. And so I think it's starting to beg the question around how necessary formal education is, especially when kids go into so much debt later on for it, right? So I think there's a lot of different lanes for people, and entrepreneurship is obviously the way. And I mean, just going back to the mindset piece, I mean, I think a lot of the issue is people are not really trained and understand how to operate from true choice. And so, under mentorship with M5E and everybody, I'm learning and still learning to operate from real choice. Like, do you want chocolate ice cream or do you want vanilla? Actually, I want strawberry. I don't want to live within the confines of what's here, but actually just making.
That's what they took out of education is the critical thinking part.
Yes.
Right, like how do I solve a problem or how do I create a solution rather than saying this is the answer. Like I'll come home, I'm checking homework and my son will get the answer and then I'm like, that's good. And he's like, no, we got to explain it like this. I'm like, but you got the answer. Right, like what is the real focus? Like how did you get to it and did it meet the textbook standard of what you were looking for or a standard deviation of it? Yeah. Or do you want the actual solution? Right. And so we don't even, we limit that because from a curriculum standpoint and from, standardized testing standpoint, there's certain things that they want to see to make sure you're learning. But I'm like, no, he's grasping it. He's got it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Quick question for you. How did you amass these 150
Let's
units?
get to that.
Because that's a feat in itself, and also to like how often are you explaining to your children the process of like how you got these units?
Yeah, so I mean they've been seeing the pains of construction and delays and weather and all these different things that happen, but so they've been seeing. I bring them to site. And they see, these houses in Niagara Falls that seem to be taking forever from their perspective. Because again, kids see everything happen right away. Yeah. But yeah, no, we go through the process. I show them the floor plans. We go through a lot of whatever you're doing, you should have ownership in it. So my daughter wants to be a veterinarian. No, you're going to own the vet clinic. So there's a lot of that type of discussion. Especially too, I mean, I getting to the point of this was basically, me selling real estate for many years. Effectively, what I was doing was raising capital for builders. I sold a lot of pre-construction investment properties. I taught people how to invest in real estate. That's how I got into real estate. Yeah. And so I think being able to impact people that way and teach them a skill set and watching clients go from, broke with maybe one house to now taking equity out, buying more and more, and watching their net worth grow really was a motivator for me. And then through mentorship, I watched the guys that owned my brokerage, M5E, they went and got into development. I initially tagged along just to learn, and then opportunities came up, and then I was prepared for them. So yeah.
Being around the right people and in the right room.
That's it.
And being prepared for the opportunity.
Yeah.
The number one rule in life is to stay close.
Yeah.
Like you can get rich by accident.
Yes.
And I realized that it's just like being guilty by association. Right. You can get arrested by accident.
Yeah.
Most people are decent people at heart. Yeah. They put themselves in bad situations. Mm-hmm. Most people are followers, they're not leaders. Like you're in a gang, you're a gang member. There's only a few gang leaders.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of gang members.
Yeah.
Most gang members are pretty decent people.
Yeah.
But they need to be around other people. They don't have high self-esteem and they want to feel a part of something. You are associating yourself with something that you could potentially end up losing your life or getting 20 years in jail just by accident.
Yeah.
But the inverse of that is that you could potentially become a millionaire and extremely successful just by accident.
Absolutely.
Just by being close to people, adding value. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a leader. Yeah. You don't have to be a genius. Yeah. But success by association is actually a real thing. Okay, yeah. And that's the hardest thing. It's crazy. I'll never forget, it was some young boys like years ago, and I told them I'm like, stay close to me. And I wasn't saying that in an arrogant way, but I was telling them like, if you stay close to me, you're going to be in a better situation if you stay close to other people. Mm-hmm. Stay close to me. And they didn't stay close to me. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they didn't stay close to me because they didn't want to, but it's hard to stay close to somebody because when you stay close to somebody, you got to add value.
Absolutely.
You got to do certain things. So it's easier to just fall off the wagon. Yeah. I see that all the time. Yeah. Like you would think that would be the easiest thing in the world is to stay close to a successful person or stay close to somebody that's headed in an upward trajectory. But it's actually very interesting psychology play. People would rather not do that.
Which is self-sabotage. I mean, I'll be super transparent. Like I let go of one person. I was like, hey, pack my bags. I got first class flights, hotel arrangements, all accommodated. Like, no, you pack them. I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna pack them, but pack you up too. Yeah.
You got packed up. Here's the inverse, right? Yeah. We tell them stay close. Same thing. We tell the same guys, stay close. Guess who stayed close? His name is Abdullah.
AB, yeah.
Right? One time he wasn't, I checked him, right? I called him. He was at college. I said, yo, bro, why am I calling you? Why you not calling to check in on me?
Yeah.
He's like, what you mean? I'm like, yo, I told you to stay close.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure something out, and you should be there when I do it. From that moment, that never happened again.
Missed it, yeah.
And you can see the repercussions.
The growth,
of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, it's hard to do. I even wrote a reminder. I gave him a pair of kicks. Like, he's playing ball at the time. I wrote on the sneakers. I was like, yo, stay close. Stay close. Number one rule.
And he adds value every day. Super easy to work with. It's just like small thing. And the thing I see with you and like everyone here, everyone's trying to find ways just to grow. But imagine if we just all do this together. And put all the information, access, resources, having good energy, and we just team up and do this more. Oh my God.
This is a stay close right here. Like you said,
absolutely.
Sherrod, shout out to Sherrod. He's in there.
Yeah.
Like, yo, just mentorship and being prepared for the opportunity.
Yes.
But some people aren't prepared for the opportunity, and it becomes evident very, very early. And now you're in a tough situation because you brought them here and they're not ready. Now how do you get rid of them?
And it's frustrating to watch because
Pack your shit. I gave you a chance, you blew it. You shouldn't have fumbled. Now we're Patty Mahomes, you know what I'm saying? These just jokes. Written by
on that note, thank you.
That's it? Come on. See, you should have said pack your shit.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you. You're amazing. We're proud of you too.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
All right.
Yes, Sirski.